You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infidium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, sports fans, the Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League. And the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM. And simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Philadelphia Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert is off the IR. Could face the Dallas Cowboys this week, while Jalen Hurts is unlikely to play. Jerry Jones was quoted as saying that signing Odell Beckham Jr. in 2022 continues to fade. May look at the wide receiver in the upcoming offseason. Former New England Patriots linebacker and current NFL Network analyst Willie McGinnis was arrested on Monday in West Hollywood, California on a potential charge of assault with a deadly weapon. The arrest is in connection to a December 9th incident in a nightclub in the area where the 51-year-old McGinnis is shown in a video coming to a patron, swinging on him first, having help with 2 to 3 others. McGinnis then picks up what appears to be a beer bottle and uses it as a weapon. McGinnis is scheduled to appear in court on Wednesday. In case you missed it, yesterday, the Atlanta Braves signed veteran outfielder Jordan Luplow to a 1-year, $1.4 million contract on Monday. The 29-year-old Luplow hit just 176 with 11 home runs, driving in 28 in 83 games with Arizona. The right-handed hitter had 8 homers against left-handers last season. Luplow is a versatile outfielder able to play all 3 positions and can also play first base. In 2019, he had a career-high 15 home runs and a .276 batting average for Cleveland. He was originally drafted by Pittsburgh in and debuted in 2017. And college football's early National Signing Day is tomorrow. Right now ranked by Rivals.com, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they're projected to have the number 1 class in the land, with the Georgia Bulldogs ranked number 2. That's followed by Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Texas in the top 5. Other teams of note, LSU number 7, Clemson 8, the Tennessee Volunteers number 10, Florida Gators at 11, Texas A&M 15, Arkansas 16, and South Carolina at 24, rounding out the top 25 in the Southeastern Conference. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Armor Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the bubble. Really, this is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com /at Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Willie McGinnis needed help to win that bar fight like he always needed help to win football games when he was a New England Patriot. More of that to come.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Welcome to Braves Country here on Armchair Quarterback Radio and streaming on The Key, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, along with wherever you may stream your YouTube, Facebook, etc. on Braves Country HD. Let's go ahead and get into it because we got a lot to get into and a little time to do it today. Busy day in the world of sports. And a couple of things that are going down this hour. The looks like billionaire mortgage lender Matt, and I'm probably going to mess his name up, Matt Ishibia, is finalizing a deal to purchase the Phoenix Suns for $4 billion. Would be record for an NBA franchise. Previous high was 2.35 for the Nets. So he is going to be buying the Phoenix Suns, and I don't think that changes a whole lot of the day-to-day operations, but there you have that. You got a couple other things that are trending and going on in the world of sports, but I kind of want to get in this first thing that broke this morning. Willie McGinnis gets in a bar fight back in the, I think it was December 9th. And the video shows him picking up a bottle after he went to whoever this patron was. I don't know who it was, but he goes over to the guy sitting in the booth. And of course, it's he said, she said on what it was about. There's no telling at this point. But what we do know from the video is that the guy's sitting there essentially by himself. And McGinnis, who is obviously a large guy, he played the National Football League. He is At the time that he played, he was 6'4" and well over 270 pounds. And he's been retired for a hot minute. I think he's 51 years old. And working for the NFL Network is really what makes it newsworthy, because if he was just some retired football player that got arrested for a fight and assault with a deadly weapon, well, you kind of go on and kind of forget about it because it is what it is. He's got to deal with his legal troubles. But the NFL Network has been a little quiet on this so far, and I'm sure they're going to respond eventually. But I'm sorry, McGinnis has to go. You see this video, not only does he come up and sucker punch the guy, but he's got 2 or 3 guys with him helping him. And this guy that he jumps, I mean, he is not a big guy by any stretch of the imagination. Guinness has to outweigh him by 50 to 70 pounds. And then in the middle of this melee, Guinness picks something up off the ground, looks like a beer bottle, but it's, obviously it's hard to tell with grainy video, and uses it as a weapon. And that's what drew the most serious charge. So we'll see what transpires in this, but I don't see there's any way in the world he would keep his job in most circumstances. You put whatever broadcaster A or B there in that circumstance, and immediately they're at least getting suspended and most likely fired. There's no way Al Michaels goes into a bar and swings a beer bottle at somebody who's getting jumped, by the way, at the time. He's very lucky that it didn't turn into worse. That the guy survived this. Now, to be honest with you, when you look at the punching, McGinnis is a big guy. The punch didn't really phase this guy. And I don't know, it almost makes you wonder if McGinnis has ever really been in too many scrapes, because you see him throw the punch. And I'll be honest with you, someone who did a little bit of bouncing in his earlier days, he doesn't really throw like an actual punch. It's more of like a calculated, looked like he was going through slow motion, like you would for a movie scene. But anyways, a lot of folks are going to forget this because it happened 30 years ago. But when he was in college, he got into a problem. Now, granted, 30 years ago, but it was a pretty creepy deal at the time. And I remember when he was being drafted, it was a bit of a thing that folks were upset about. But it got skated over. But when he was at Southern Cal, he and 2 other students assaulted a 23-year-old, basically like a dorm maid. I don't know her actual title, but she was physically assaulted and sexually assaulted, and nothing came of that. Of course, this was 30 years ago, and a lot of these guys skated on stuff like that if they could play football. Nowadays, I think the media would be too bright on him, so to speak, for him to be able to wiggle out from that. But nothing happened of this. Nothing happened from this, and essentially, it was forgotten about. And granted, it's been 30 something years since then, but that's going to go into play when the NFL Network thinks about whether or not they're going to continue his employment. And he's got a couple other ventures. One of the things I think it's called 55 Studios, which is named after his jersey number. And he's involved in production. It is a film and television production company. I don't have the list as far as what he's actually involved in with that. I can probably get it. But anyways, that's what kind of leads us off. And it was kind of a shocking video to see. We see a guy who's McGinnis has been on NFL Network for quite some time. You see him every day, and you don't think of, I mean, for him to, you really wonder what could have happened, what could have transpired for him to lead to that. And there's no telling. But then the thing that I think a lot of people have an issue with is he goes up to fight this guy, but he needs help from 2 or 3 guys. And McGinnis is dwarfing the guy that he sucker punches. So anyways, a bad look for him, a bad look for the NFL Network, and a bad look for the National Football League in general. So you would think something's going to come of it, but you never know. The other thing that's trending right now in the world of sports, you got National Signing Day coming up, and that's going to be happening tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. Kids for 72 hours can sign their letter of intent. And so that should be a lot of fun, as well as other things that are going on. You've got college football. You've got a doubleheader of college football today. And the first bowl game starts at 3:30. It's the Idaho Potato Bowl. And it's being played up in Boise, Idaho, in the old Boise State Stadium. I believe it's still blue. I don't think they've changed that for the bowl game. Actually called Albertson Stadium. But San Jose State and Eastern Michigan, you might be a little out of the loop as far as what those teams bring to the table. But basically what you need to know is it's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold up there. We'll see if wind is a factor. The over-under today was, I believe, 52 or 54. I'll get it to you here in 1 second. And the interesting thing about that over-under is, obviously, the weather in Boise, Idaho this time of year. Okay, it's up to 54.5. Wow. Now, that shocks me that it's moved up. I would think it would actually go down because the weather really looks like, but then again, people get in here and they start throwing money at different things. You got to kind of wonder if half the betting public even know what they're doing. They're just trying to be entertained. And a lot of people do like to bet the over, obviously, because it's more fun to bet the over because you get to vote or get to pull for a high scoring game. I'm leaning towards the under on that. In fact, I took Eastern Michigan's point total was 24.5 as my lock of the day for Bet US, and share up on the screen on our YouTube page, Braves Country, that we do have a bonus link, and you can sign up today and get a bonus sign up. You'll see it on the actual screen itself, and then I'll share it in a second in the actual bio, so it's easy to copy and paste. But I took the 24.5 under team total, and I am an aficionado on Eastern Michigan and San Jose State football. No, but I did do a little research, read up on it a little bit this morning, and essentially what it looks like is these are two teams that are probably going to be able to do more damage on the ground. And bad weather, San Jose State likes to move the ball through the air, but Eastern Michigan gives up a lot on the ground. So with that being said, you might see more of the ball being ran. And if the ball is being ran in a cold weather game, I like the fact that we've got a fighting chance of hitting that under. So that's what I went with. And I do believe that San Jose State is the better team. That doesn't always mean everything in a bowl game, but 24.5, that is a lot of points to get in cold weather for one team. So if you don't like it, then just bet against me, and there you go. And I just shared it in the bio and on our Facebook, on our our YouTube and Twitter, and away we go. So you have 24.5 is what it's always posted on our Twitter page, and we usually have it up a little bit before showtime so that we're not trying to do three things at once. So there you have that. That is my lock of the day. So far this year, we are 66-40-2. I spit the bit yesterday, dropping myself to 28-15. We just started doing the daily picks, so that's why the picks are why we only have a little over 100 picks, and we're almost at the end of December. But as you can see, we have a win rate of over 60%. So pretty proud of that. And I'm hoping it can stay that way going into the end of the season. Justin and I always make a 6-pack pick on Thursdays, and then we do locks with all the guys on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, heading into the football weekend. And this week we're going to be doing the locks. We're also going to be doing a lot of stuff on the tail end of this week, sports related, Christmas stuff. Usually have a lot of fun with that, and we look forward to that. But in case you missed it, yesterday the Atlanta Braves actually made a deal. And that would have been really easy to fly under the radar because the deal that they made is a smaller one, which is what the Braves have been essentially going with here recently. But here's the deal real quick, run over it real quick. Atlanta Braves signed Jordan Luplow to a 1-year contract worth $1.4 million. He is added to the club's 40-man roster. Now, right now, the 40-man roster still has 2 slots. So that could come via free agency, that could come via trade, or they could just elevate guys. But it is noted that they still have 2 open slots on the 40-man roster. And usually this time of year, what that means for most teams, especially contenders like the Atlanta Braves, is that they're not done adding yet. And of course, one of those slots was made available when Dansby Swanson went packing to Chicago. But here are the numbers on Luplow. He hit 11 home runs and a .634 OPS last year. 8 of his home runs were against left-handed pitching. So they really went in. By the way, he is a right-handed batter. He's not a switch hitter like Robbie Grossman was. I think he's essentially going to take Robbie Grossman's place. A right-handed bat at the end of the bench. You got to figure there's a very good chance that we're going to hit the spring with Eddie Rosario and Ozuna on the roster like we've talked about before. Not saying that they couldn't make a move, but just knowing how it's unfolded and the amount of money they would have to eat, I doubt they make a move. So you do wonder sometimes when you see these moves, though, when a Luplow gets added, a guy who would specifically be coming in to pinch or to not necessarily pinch it, but to platoon in the outfield. He by the way, defensively, he can play all 3 outfield positions and he can play first base. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is he's not much of an offensive pop. What he is he is a more diverse Heredia. So a guy at the end of your bench that you're not expecting from. But sometimes moves like these are made because there's something that's going to follow. Either a trade or they're going to DFA a guy like Ozuna. I still feel like Atlanta, the plan right now, unless something falls into their lap, the plan is going to be to hit spring training with Ozuna and Rosario as basically a platoon situation, and you'll get the same thing at shortstop with Grissom and Arcia. And it's really not that bad of a plan. If you have those 2 guys at the bottom of your lineup, and you consider the rest of the lineup top to bottom, still a pretty darn good lineup. And if Rosario and Ozuna became shadows of their former self, it would be an electric lineup. And that's not even counting what could happen, what you could get out of the shortstop position, because Arcia has got pop. Grissom has shown signs, and he's only going to get better. I think a lot of people get into this. It's almost like a fantasy football, fantasy baseball kind of world when it comes to their teams. You have to look at what's logical, and that's not a bad platoon situation. And as long as there's not infighting where some guys, one of the guys is angry that he's having to platoon, which I don't see how they could, because none of them would have a leg to stand on right now. None of them perform well enough to own the starting position. No one that I just mentioned had a kind of year like a Michael Harris just had. Nobody had a kind of year that a Austin Riley or Matt Olson had. None of those four guys have the potential of what Acuna brings to the table, what Ozzie Albies brings to the table. So I think it's a very good chance that that's how we hit it. But Luplow was signed. It's interesting. More to come here in a second. We are going to dive into a couple of things, including the Falcons make a move in the NFL lines heading into week 16. What are we looking at? What do we like? We'll take a peek at the early lines here on Braves Country. We'll be back in a flash. Keep it locked in here on 99.1 FM or Braves Country HD, wherever you stream.
You're a cop, huh? No, what I am, Sonny, is about 50 pounds heavier and one hell of a lot meaner, so you better straighten up your act. I don't think I like you.
The Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family, have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Wendy's only makes one kind of breakfast, your new favorite one. How do we do it? With fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, and flaky croissants. You know, the things your old breakfast wasn't doing. So toss that old news and its soggy eggs somewhere useful. And get to Wendy's. A sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant, and honey butter chicken biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
The price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Yeah, the Armchair Quarterback, he's kind of fun and he's kind of fat, the All-American man.
Welcome back.
The Armchair Quarterback, he's full of beer.
We are rolling towards Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, big Christmas Eve this year. Not because you got to hang out with your family, because we got a lot of football. How about wall-to-wall football? We always have family over for, well, family and friends. My family, our friends, for Christmas Eve, and I always look forward to it. I look forward to it even more when I know we're going to have football on, because a few of the guys that come over, they're big football fans, and it gives us, it's kind of a dud, the years when you hit Christmas Eve and there's only been like one college football game and it's a snoozer and it's always at like a weird time. To this year, it is going to be wall to wall football, and looking forward to that quite a bit, because when you look at what's going to be going down in the National Football League on Saturday, and remember Thursday night, we still get a Thursday night game. Jags and Jets, which right now, at the time, I think there were a lot of folks thinking that wasn't going to be a great game. But now that's going to be an incredibly important game. An incredibly important game. And so that's what we have right now. When you look at Jags Jets Thursday night, which we will have it here on Braves Country HD, the Jaguars go to that game 6-8, the Jets 7-7. And so the game's incredibly important for both. The Jets are trying to chase down a wild card. The Jaguars have a chance at a wild card, but really their better chance is to win the division. Because if you look at the Jaguars schedule, and they play at the Jets, at the Texans, home against the Titans. Now they have in their grasp a division title if they win out. They control their destiny. Who would have thought that a few weeks ago? But at the Jets, at the Texans, home against the Titans. If they have a shot at winning the division, or winning the wild card, they've probably won the division. Because the Titans, and those are the only two teams left in that hunt realistically, the Titans finish off this weekend. They're at home against Houston, but then they're at home again, but they have to play the Cowboys. And depending on how this coming week shapes up for the Cowboys, it's really not a bad deal for the Cowboys, because it's not a Sunday to Thursday turnaround. It's a Saturday to Thursday turnaround, so not quite as bad. But granted, if the Cowboys end up losing to Philly, that game becomes significantly less important to the Cowboys, and you don't know if someone's a little banged up, if they might bench him. If the Cowboys beat Philly, and Philly at this point is looking at a game that they're going to have to go to Dallas without Jalen Hurts, that's going to be an incredibly difficult game to pull off. But they do have Gardner Minshew, if you remember him from the Jacksonville Jaguar fame. But if Philly does find a way to win that game, then I think that helps Titans fans in the fact that Dallas, they've already clinched a playoff spot with the wild cards. So if they lose this weekend, they can't win the division. And I don't think anyone's catching them for the top wild card spot. I really don't. Now, I don't think you would necessarily bench and rest guys 2 weeks in advance. But if a guy's banged up, right? Let's say a running back, a receiver, even a quarterback, it's got a little ache and pain. You might not give it a go. Guys on the line, offensive, defensive line, they got a little bumps and bruises. They may not go. And so that's why if you're a Jaguar fan, Philly, Dallas becomes important to you big picture, because you want Dallas to win. So they're still in the conversation, so that on Thursday, December 29th, when they go to Nashville, they're going to care about winning the game. But that Jaguar Jets game, Tones and I will be bringing you the game 8:00 Eastern. I can't wait. I think that is going to be a phenomenal game. And when we first picked that game, I wasn't sure. What I did feel like was that the Jets were going to have a puncher's chance of getting in the playoffs. And when you look at the Jets and what they need to do, the Jets, they obviously are going to be at home against Jacksonville this week. And it does look more and more like it's going to be Zach Wilson. I know Jets fans hate that, but I don't see how Mike White's going to get back. When they talk about the severity of that injury, I feel like Zach Wilson is your starter Thursday. And your best case scenario, if you're a Jets fan, is that Mike White is back by January 1st which is another, 10, 11 days in the Seattle game. But we may be talking about Mike White, depending on the severity, and though they have to release the injury, they don't have to tell you the severity of it. Depending on the severity with the rib injury, we may not see him the rest of the regular season. And Zach Wilson played Zach Wilson-ish. I mean, he was not very impressive against the Lions, a terrible Lions defense. He didn't look terrible on the stat sheet per se. But when you consider what the Lions have given up, Zach Wilson threw for 317 yards. You like that? He had 2 touchdowns. You like that? But he got sacked 4 times, and 3 of them, because I was watching, 3 of them was him deer in the headlights, not knowing what to do. And he threw an interception. He had an 89.8 rating, a 37.4 QBR. In comparison, his counterpart, Jared Goff, had a 78.5 QBR. So almost twice as good. Because if you look at what Wilson did, even though he threw for 317 and the 2 touchdowns, he turned the ball over, and he was about 50% from the field. And you just don't like it. And Wilson, who earlier in his career was usually a threat to running, he had 3 rushes for 7 yards. So that was kind of a dud too. So he's going to go into the Jackson. Now, the one thing that may help the Jets, believe it or not, is that if you're perceived as the worst team, and I do believe that Jacksonville is the better team. At this stage, Jacksonville is the better football team. But if you look at Jets, Jaguars, they are expecting awful weather Thursday night. It's going to be in the 20s and a hard rain, or in the or even snow in the 20s to the low 30s. Because there's that big winter weather front that's coming in, and it's supposed to hit New York about that time. So that's what we're looking at here going into week 16. The Jets, by the way, are a 1-point favorite. I don't see how they're a favorite. The Jaguars, to me, should be either it should either be a pick 'em or the Jags a slight favorite. Because if Zach Wilson is going to play, there's just no way that I can fade the Jaguars. I have to jump on Duval. What I did earlier in the week was I teased it. I do this a lot with the Monday to Thursday game. I teased it, did a 6-point teaser, and took the Packers. All they had to do was win, and of course they got the win last night. If you missed that game, you didn't miss much. It was kind of a dull game. I was hoping for a little more fireworks, considering it was Baker Mayfield versus Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers has seen better days, and Mayfield has never really seen that great a day. So I was kind of getting excited for no reason, realistically. But I was hoping that we might get a little fireworks. 24-12 was the final. It wasn't even that exciting. But I took the Packers on the teaser, and all they do is win. And now the Jaguars are getting, I'm sorry, it was a 7-point teaser. So now I've got the Jaguars getting 8 points. And I feel like that's a pretty safe bet. Looking at the other lines heading into this weekend, let's hit the early games real quick. Tennessee is a 5-point favorite at home against the Texans. And I get it. Tennessee's banged up. They've lost 4 in a row. They lost to the Bengals, who are playing really good football. They were blown out by the Eagles. They were dominated by the Jaguars. And then they went out to LA last week and almost pulled off an upset, but lost to the Chargers. But the Chargers are banged up as well. They're coming home. And the good news, if you're a Tennessee fan, Tennessee usually dominates the line of scrimmage in these games. Now, Houston has gotten their number from time to time. That was usually back in the Deshaun Watson days, because Tennessee's pass defense has been an issue for the last several years. They've drafted, they've done all kinds of things, and they cannot get it right. Derrick Henry, if you remember, goes off against the Jaguars, and he goes off against the Houston Texans. The first game, well, what happened there? McGee, how did the first game go down? Because we know we played twice. They're in the same division. The first game, Tennessee won what looks like a close game, 17-10. It wasn't. I watched that game. Well, most of it. Had it on one of my monitors. And the Texans scored a garbage touchdown with about 17 seconds left to make it 17-10. At that point, Tennessee was in prevent defense, right? But Derrick Henry ran for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I expect more of the same this weekend. I expect Derrick Henry and the boys to be plowing through what could be snow. They're calling for really severe weather in Nashville. And, of course, Atlanta, we're going to get some of that too. It's going to dip into the south. Now, obviously, the Falcons are on the road, but they're going to Baltimore. And that high right now is being projected as at 30 degrees. So it's going to be a cold weekend across the United States. But Tennessee -5, that seems low to me. I like that line a lot. Another one that kicks off at 1 o'clock, Bills, Bears. Buffalo is in Chicago with that wind, and they're talking about 14 degrees being the high. I don't know if I really like Buffalo. I actually like the Bears in that. The Bears getting 9 points at home in what could be a very windy game that kind of plays into Chicago Bear football, which is turned into Justin Fields, student body right, Justin Fields, student body left, catch you with the draw play with Fields, and every once in a while throw it over the top of the linebackers and the tight end's wide open. So I like the Bears +9. I think that's being overpriced, mainly because the perception nationally is Bills great, Bears bad. But the Bills, they have not been flawless, and they're 11-3, and the Bears have not been as bad as that 3-11 mark looks. It looks bad, but they're losing a lot of close games. Saints, Browns don't have a lot of interest in that. It is interesting, and this tells you they're expecting really bad weather because the over-under is 32. You never see an over-under that low. It was a 31.5 this morning. 32. And it may be too high. It's the Saints and Browns. We saw what the Browns did last week. Not much. And the Saints defense is pretty stout. And as good as the Saints defense is, their offense is equally as bad. I'm steering clear of that game. But if I was going to take anything, maybe tease the under. And then you've got Chiefs, Seahawks. 15 degrees they're calling for in Kansas City. Oh, 15 degrees and the over-under's 48.5. If you get any kind of weather with any kind of wind, that's too high. That is too high. I get it that the Seahawks defense has been a sieve, but you look at those weather conditions and you would have to really look at the weather across the board. But they're calling, what are they calling it? The it's not a snow bomb, but that's basically the term they're using. But that front is hitting the Midwest this weekend. So they could be in terrible conditions, and 48.5 in those conditions. I have been on the wrong side of that when I didn't check the weather, and I go, man, what? Oh my God! Look at the wind's blowing sideways. Everybody's running it up the middle. The Chiefs don't really have to win that game. They're 11-3. They're going to the playoffs. You could see a lot of guys faking some injuries and heading towards the sidelines to get next to those heaters. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more NFL and some bowl picks. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in here on 99.1 FM, The Key.
Is that your thing? You come into a bar, you read some obscure passage, and then pretend you pawn it off as your own idea just to impress some girls? Embarrass my friend? See, the sad thing about a guy like you is in 50 years, you're going to start doing some thinking on your own, and you're going to come up with the fact that there are two certainties in life. One, don't do that. And two, you dropped 150 grand on an education you could have got for $1.50 in late charges at the public library.
Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves Baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves Baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there. Pulling no punches, calling it how I see it for all of Braves Country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, all season long, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
The Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family, have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to dixiehandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball. Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time on WQEE.
At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
This is Shirley from the bank. The answers are no, no, and yes. No, we won't loan you money. No, we won't accept any cosigners. And yes, your account's overdrawn. I get off at 4:30.
Welcome back. Hope you got the Christmas spirit, holiday spirit, however you celebrate. This is one of the best times of year, isn't it? You get together with family, then shortly after you have an excuse to get away from family because football's games are going wall to wall. San Jose State, by the way, leads Eastern Michigan about midway through the first quarter. That game is 7-0. So we'll see what happens on my lock. My lock of the day was Eastern Michigan not being able to hit their 24.5, and so far so good. But I don't believe they've gotten the ball yet. I've got the game on the background, but not really locking into it. Tonight's game, college football, is a little more interesting of a game. I feel like they didn't really spread out the better matchups television-wise. But tonight's game's Boca Raton, Toledo, and Liberty. And that could be more fireworks. The thing is, I checked the weather today because I was on the weather checking the Boise game. I was like, you know what? Don't be an idiot. While you're here, what's going on in Boca Raton? It is supposed to pour rain the entire game and pretty good wind. It might be hard to get some points there. That over-under in that game, by the way, is... see where it's at right now. It is not moved. It was 52. It's jumped down to 51.5 this afternoon, and that's where it stands. Toledo is a 3.5 point favorite. Remember, Liberty lost their coach. Hugh Freeze is headed to Auburn, and I don't believe he's coaching this game. So that is your night game, a Tuesday night football game. Tomorrow, if you're wanting to know what's going on the rest of the week, is in the middle of bowl mania. Tomorrow, evidently just one football game, Western Kentucky versus South Alabama. So a good Southern clash, but they're not playing until 9 o'clock Eastern. The New Orleans Bowl. I don't know why they're waiting that long. It's the only football game on. But for whatever reason, they're waiting till, I believe that's 8 o'clock local time because, yes, it is in New Orleans. So typically, they play 7 o'clock local time for most of those kickoffs, sometimes 6. Seems very strange, but maybe there's something that ESPN Disney just did not want to go up against. I can't fathom what it could be unless they're trying to align it with a basketball game and make it a doubleheader. But I just think it's a bad idea to kick off a game that late. What chance you have of the fans paying attention and caring about that game has gone out the window starting it at 9 o'clock. I'll probably put it on, but it's going to be as I'm winding down and going to bed, and probably just catch the highlights the next day, maybe watch a condensed version. They've got that cool thing now where you can the YouTube TV the next day, if you've recorded a game, you can hit a selection that says key plays, and it's usually like 30 to 40 key plays depending on the sporting event, and you pretty much see everything that happens and highlights. You don't have to wait around for it. You don't have to look for it. So I've been doing that a lot, especially with the NBA, because regular season NBA just drones on, and it's really hard to get into it. But I do like to know what's going on, and making sure because the problem is when football season is still kicking and baseball season is coming to an end, that downtime when you go from November, December, all the way into basically, let's call it the end of February, that's football season. That's the meat and potatoes of it. And I don't have a lot of spare time outside the football games. And if I do, and you're hanging out at the house with the wife, I mean, you're trying to clear out the DVR. There are other things to watch. And though I might have a game on in the background on the secondary television, I'm listening to whatever television show or movie we're watching. Excited for that. I keep seeing the trailers. I don't even know if that thing is out yet. I'm going to check that real quick now that I'm thinking about it, because we've talked about this a few times. And have y'all seen this? The 1923 that's coming out? And it's basically an answer to, if you saw 1883, and they're all prequels to Yellowstone. The 1883 was phenomenal, and I liked it better than I do Yellowstone. I still haven't really gotten into Yellowstone, but it was absolutely phenomenal. because it's a totally different cast, obviously, because it takes place over 130 years prior to. This one, 1923, obviously it's taking place about 100 years ago. And see, it did premiere on December 18th, so I guess I missed the premiere on I guess that's coming on Paramount. But we usually wait for a few times because any of these things that you like to stream, I don't like to watch the stream one episode at a time. I'm sorry, but in the day and time that we live in now, the Netflix, the Hulu, you name it. What else you got out there? You got Amazon. I just mentioned Paramount Plus. I feel like I'm forgetting a couple. Apple. Anyways, all these streaming platforms, when you find a show that you like, man, I like bam, 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 bam. I at least want to knock out 2 to 3 episodes to get it going, to see if I even like it. And if I don't like it, if you don't draw me by the second episode, and sometimes it's the first episode, but usually I'll give something. If it's a short series, if they say that it is a limited series and there's 6 episodes or whatever, and I get halfway through the first one and it's not grabbing me, I'm not wasting any more time. Because you're not going to have enough time to build whatever you're supposed to build because you've only got 6 of these. But I want at least, when I go in to start to watch it, I want at least 4 showing, even if you're going to slowly roll out the rest. And until it gets to about 4, maybe 3, maybe 2 at the most, or at the least, excuse me. But other than that, that's why I started watching the one on, I think it's Paramount, the one with Sylvester Stallone. And look, it was good, the first episode. But it was 1 episode. I didn't realize that there wasn't another episode coming for another week. And I said, you know what? I'm putting this thing on the back burner and I'll catch it somewhere towards the end of football season when the whole season's ready. And I see people on social media and they're like, oh, it's phenomenal and great job. I'm like, how are you doing this? What are you, a pilgrim? You're watching 1 episode at a time like we did back in the day. Remember when, for those of y'all old enough to remember this, it's kind of funny that we have dated ourselves this quickly, how much technology has changed. But remember when The Sopranos was the thing? I believe that was late 90s, early 2000s. And remember, it was the thing, and you had to have HBO. You had to have it. If you didn't have HBO, you couldn't watch it. It didn't get reran on Netflix. None of that existed. And back then, I think TiVos had just came out, but I never knew anyone that had a TiVo. We had VCRs, and if you didn't set that thing up right, you screwed yourself. Although HBO was a little better because it reran itself so many times. But you felt like you had to be there every Sunday night to catch the first episode or the newest episode of The Sopranos. And then other shows followed. But that was the first one that I can remember where it was must-see TV, appointment TV in the modern era. Now, yeah, there was stuff years ago when I was a kid in the 80s when you only had 3 television stations. I don't remember when Fox, I think Fox came around mid 80s, but I feel like they didn't have anything worth a darn until the late 80s, early 90s. But okay, everyone would huddle around the TV then, and then we started to get a little further away from each other because when cable came in and there were other options, that kind of splintered us off. And then things like when I talk about The Sopranos, I think about what made FX is when The Shield came on. Incredible show. And of course, HBO became very good at one point, not so much in the last 5 to 10 years, but at one point they usually put the best television out. Remember 6 Feet Under? All that stuff you felt like you had to be there. I wasn't even a Sex and the City person, but at the time I was dating a girl that was into that, and we had to watch it. And that was one of the things that first started me having 2 televisions in the same room, because I would have the Braves game on mute. She would complain, but we were listening and watching Sex and the City, and I would say, what is your problem? I've got it on. Yeah, but you're not getting into it. Well, you're also not getting as riled up as I am that Bobby Cox is pulling the starter too quickly. So, it's all even, right? But nowadays, if I'm going to watch something on television and it is a streaming show, meaning something that has been made in bulk, but as opposed to them giving you all of them at once, which I understand why they don't want to do that, because you might just rattle through it and then go through your free trial of Netflix or whatever and cancel it. But give me at least 4 to get going. I got into one on Paramount Plus a few months ago that I didn't realize they didn't make another episode. There were 6 episodes. It was an incredible show. But they never. It came out during the pandemic, and there were a bunch of different things that went down. That a lot of different factors why it didn't get brought back. But it was critically acclaimed. Is how I got to watching it. And the guy from The Shield, Vic Mackey, the guy that played Vic Mackey, the guy who also played the Hulk. I mean, not the Hulk, the Thing in the movie. His name's escaping me, but anyways, incredible show. It was called Coyote. Incredible show. They made 6 episodes, and then that's it. I start searching for it because I saw 2021 it was made, and I'm thinking, okay, it was made about a year ago. Let's watch this. The new episode's got to be coming out soon. No, it was released in January of 2021, and then that was it. I can't even tell you how it ended because it didn't even end with a cliffhanger, because they were assuming they were going to make more episodes that season. But yeah, as far as the world of sports, this is a good time these next few days to kind of clear out some DVR stuff, because there's some dud bowl games. But when you hit this Saturday, it's a full slate of NFL. You got a triple header of NFL on Christmas. I think it's kind of good that the games are terrible, because you're not going to feel like you miss anything when you're hanging out with the family on Christmas. I mean, the slate is awful. Awful. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Joey is joining us, and we are going to, well, hey, he's a Cubs fan. He's going to react to the Dansby Swanson move. He's also going to talk to us about what the Cubs are looking like this season. And we're also going to get into a lot of football, and we're going to answer the question: do you have to have an elite quarterback to win the NFC this year? Do you have to have an elite quarterback, or can you win it with subpars? And he says there's 2 in the NFC. I'm going to say that number is wrong, and I'll tell you why when we come back. We'll be back in a flash. Keep it locked in here on WQEE 99.1 FM and streaming on Braves Country HD on YouTube.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Philadelphia Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert is off the IR. Could face the Dallas Cowboys this week, while Jalen Hurts is unlikely to play. Jerry Jones was quoted as saying that signing Odell Beckham Jr. in 2022 continues to fade. May look at the wide receiver in the upcoming offseason. Former New England Patriots linebacker and current NFL Network analyst Willie McGinnis was arrested on Monday in West Hollywood, California, on a potential charge of assault with a deadly weapon. The arrest is in connection to a December 9th incident in a nightclub in the area where the 51-year-old McGinnis is shown in a video coming to a patron, swinging on him first, having help with 2 to 3 others. McGinnis then picks up what appears to be a beer bottle and uses it as a weapon. McGinnis is scheduled to appear in court on Wednesday. In case you missed it, yesterday the Atlanta Braves signed veteran outfielder Jordan Luplow to a 1-year, $1.4 million contract on Monday. The 29-year-old Luplow hit just 176 with 11 home runs, driving in 28 in 83 games with Arizona. The right-handed hitter had 8 homers against left-handers last season. Luplow is a versatile outfielder able to play all 3 positions and can also play first base. In 2019, he had a career-high 15 home runs and a .276 batting average for Cleveland. He was originally drafted by Pittsburgh and debuted in 2017. And college football's early National Signing Day is tomorrow. Right now ranked by Rivals.com, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they're projected to have the number 1 class in the land, with the Georgia Bulldogs ranked number 2. That's followed by Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Texas in the top 5. Other teams of note, LSU number 7, Clemson 8, the Tennessee Volunteers number 10, Florida Gators at 11, Texas A&M 15, Arkansas 16, and South Carolina at 24, rounding out the top 25 in the Southeastern Conference. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. Hey Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves Baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves Baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves Country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins...
Little Bites?
That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites!
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites!
Here you go.
Yes!
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Hey, does any of y'all know when the employee Christmas party is for the self-checkout at Walmart?
Welcome back. Christmas time is here. And yeah, that guy brings up a good point. When is the employee Christmas party for the self-checkout at Walmart? Because I've been working all year. Welcoming on to the show is Mr. Joey Areola. How are you, sir?
Doing very good. Unfortunately for my sports teams, not going the best in the world of sports right now, but a lot to be looking forward to a couple days off and to really get into the bowl season in the next week or so. But hey, we're already in the midst of it, so let's keep it going.
Yet another Benedict Arnold leaves the Atlanta Braves and heads to the Cubs this time. Dansby Swanson, 7 years, 177. I will say this. I think the tail end of that contract, Cubs fans are not going to be too happy for. But they get a really good shortstop for at least the next 3 to 4 years, I think. And obviously, this doesn't put them over the top. This doesn't even necessarily put them into a wild card. I definitely don't think it wins them a division. But it is a step in the right direction. When you get him and you get Tyon, when you look up the middle, you're going to have Swanson to Horner. I still think that they could make a move at a first baseman, and Bellinger's in the outfield, most likely center field. It's a pretty good up the middle. And I don't know if you saw the news or not, but Eric Hosmer is out there now. The Red Sox DFA'd him. And over the next couple of days, they'll try to make a deal, but it looks like more than likely he's going to hit the market and able to sign with whoever he wants to sign with.
Yeah, and
why not Chicago? He would step in and start, right?
Absolutely. John Heyman even reported that Trey Mancini could be a possible interest for the Cubs too. So
I would go Hosmer. Trey Mancini is a disaster.
I agree. That's what's supposed to
He didn't hit his weight after he was traded from Baltimore, and I don't know why, because I always thought Mancini had some promise.
Yeah,
but he just, and not to mention, you're going to put him at first base, right? If I'm the Cubs, I go Hosmer.
I agree,
because he can play the position. He's what you need, and he gives you a left-handed bat. I know it's not a great power bat anymore, but I still think he can bang 15 to 20 out of that popcorn stand in Chicago and play good first base. That's really all you need to be able to compete for a wild card.
Yep.
Stroman, we'll see if he'll improve his second year, but you've got a pretty good pitching staff, I think, to be able to honestly compete for a wild card. I mean, look, I just don't think they have what it takes for 162 to be able to beat out the Cardinals, because the Cardinals are absolutely loaded. But no one else in that division scares me.
No, my thoughts align with yours on where the Cubs kind of stand right now. Going back to the Swanson move, just like most of these contracts that are going out, unfortunately, they're going to be bad towards the tail end of those contracts, especially like the Carlos Correa one. We're not going to be as happy as you mentioned at the end of Swanson's. But for the time being with this Cubs team, after adding James Italian in the starting rotation, now we get our centerpiece at shortstop, and Swanson will be pretty much set there for the next 3 to 4 years for sure. Horner up the middle. It's gonna be an interesting team.
Now that he's a Cub, I got to get y'all to understand how to pronounce these guys' names, because you and him have both mispronounced it. Yeah, even after hearing me say it correctly, it's James Taillon. So when you look at the name, the T-A-I, that's an I.
And one thing, let me tell you,
not Talion. It's not Scallions. It's Taillon.
Let me say one thing. If anything's going to be poor for me, it's my English. I think that's why I did so bad on one of the ACT sections.
You're going to start hearing it more and more.
But that's my bad.
Of when we did the baseball game last year, and I was like, "That's it, man! I got to do the play-by-play because I won't embarrass who it was, but we all know who it was." We kept referring to Max Fried as Max Fried. That guy's a household name. He just won the World Series. It's Fried. But anyways, with all that being said, and putting that aside with Dansby to the Cubs, I thought you brought up a pretty good talking point for today. And that is, look, Jalen Hurts goes down, and they're saying he may play. Let's say he doesn't play this weekend. And let's say they rest him. He doesn't play this weekend. Is he going to play the following weekend? If he doesn't play the following weekend, what's the point of playing in week 18? And if they can hold on to that first round bye, what's saying that he doesn't play for about a month? Now, his game's a little different than other players because he uses his legs. You would be a little worried about the rust, but I would err on the side of caution if I'm the Eagles, because the first home game you'll get in the playoffs will probably, considering the NFC and the bottom half of the NFC, it'll probably be a team that a rusty Jalen Hurts can still beat in Philly, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, is probably the leader in the MVP race going in this week, or he was first or second, probably top two. Yeah, was. It's going to end now.
He doesn't play. It's going to Mahomes again. I hate to tell everybody.
Oh,
he's got to play the Latin. He doesn't have to play week 18. Nobody cares about. He's got to play this week, and he might be able to get out of it. He might be able to get away with the MVP if he plays this week, has a good game, and then they clinch, and then he rests. Right? Maybe, but he's got to play this week. If he doesn't play this week, the MVP is going to Mahomes.
Yeah, and isn't it ironic that the game he's missing is the Cowboy game? I mean, obviously not his fault. An injury can happen, but with all the stuff that was going on, Michael Parsons saying in the past few weeks, this game is huge for them. And if they lose coming out of here on Sunday and the quarterback does not look good, man, it's going to put a lot more pressure on Hurts to come back the following week. So they win this game, they're kind of they're in the clear in the division almost at that point, because then Dallas goes another loss back. Obviously, Eagles have one.
If they win this game, it clinches the division.
Yeah, and then the one
is one no matter what. They have a 3-game lead. There's 4 to play. All they need is one loss by Dallas or one win by Philly, and the division is theirs. Their magic number to clinch the first round bye is 1, because they have a 2-game lead on Minnesota, and remember, they have the tiebreaker.
Yep. I remember that Monday Night Football that beat him early in the year.
So realistically, if he can gut it out and play this weekend, he could have the next 3 weeks off.
Yeah, and then it's like, how much rest do you? I mean, I know he's a different breed, but that's going to be an interesting situation for the Eagles to manage down the stretch, because to me, you don't want to ever leave, no matter who you are, a quarterback off the field for that long. Of course, if you have an injury, the most important thing is to get healthy and get on that field first. But I wouldn't be, if you're an Eagles fan coming off that bye, someone's going to come into you hot and heavy, with in that playoff game. So be ready, Eagles, because all of a sudden your one-loss season that's going very smoothly at the moment for the most part can come crumbling fast if you don't get the quarterback position right.
So you were bringing up between, we'll call the NFC contenders, let's cut it off at, let's see right now, or playoff participants. I don't know if all these are actually contenders, but there are playoff participants. Let's cut it off at the Detroit Lions. I know mathematically Green Bay's in it. They're not going to make the playoffs. Detroit, Seattle, Washington, the Giants, Cowboys, the Buccaneers, the Niners, the Vikings, and the Eagles. And you were talking about, do you need an elite quarterback to win the NFC? And you were referring to Philly and Dallas. And I would challenge you and say there's either 3 elite quarterbacks in the NFC or there's 1. Because I believe Kirk Cousins is every bit as good as Dak Prescott. And so if Kirk Cousins isn't elite, then Dak Prescott isn't elite. What say you?
Yeah, and, when you look at the statistics, which is the main thing here, as always, you're going to be 100% right. Kirk Cousins has had a great season for the most part. I know the Minnesota Vikings, people go back and forth on, but overall, Kirk Cousins has done his job. He throws it at a high rate. He had a huge, obviously, comeback win over the weekend. The reason I didn't put Kirk Cousins exactly in that category is, I guess, I just feel like going off his history in the past in big games, he seems to not have come through, but that's every other season. That doesn't matter for this year. He's had a great season. So if we want to put him into that upper echelon and make it 3, I'm fine with that as well, because otherwise, if you take him away, I would be fine with taking Dak away. So it's definitely a close
460 yards in the comeback against Indy last week.
Yep.
He had, now I did have 2 interceptions, so let's be fair. He had 425 against the Lions, 299 against a very good Patriots team. He did lay a dud against the Cowboys, and there's no one to blame but himself on that. But I also believe that entire team, when they're flat, for whatever reason, they were flat. I don't like, that was one of the strangest games. And when I came home and that score was 33-0 Saturday, I was like, what is the deal with the Vikings, man? Because I did not think they were coming back. Okay. And I was
so sad.
And all I could think of was like, what is the deal with the Vikings? Like, the old Seinfeld reference that I always use is, you're spotting dimes, you're eating onions. I don't know what to believe, because you're getting crushed by Indy, but yet you've got one of the best records in the National Football League. You won in Buffalo. It's not like your entire resume this year is a fraud. But anyways, he did come back, and for the year, and they still have 3 games to go, mind you, he's got 3,800 yards. He's got, let me tell you,
the numbers are there. He's got 24 touchdowns and only 11 picks.
Right. So he's good. He's very, very good. To me, he's right there with Dak Prescott, because for everything that you can point positive to Dak Prescott, there's always a naysayer that always has a pretty good argument. It says, yeah, but, and they're usually right. And that's the same thing with Kirk Cousins.
So going back to your original point, I think then I would probably put Hurts a little bit above everybody, and then probably put Dak and Kirk in the same category, and then maybe the rest trickle. Because to me, Jalen has proven before, obviously, this injury happened where he might miss a game or two, that he might be the clear-cut one in the NFC, which then gets back to my question of some of these rosters, like a San Fran roster when I was looking at it, obviously is not driven by quarterback play. Some of these other playoff teams, Washington has a good surrounding cast. The Giants, Daniel Jones' stats won't blow anybody out of the water. It's, to me, interesting how the NFC, you don't need the Mahomes, the Josh Allen. It's seeming like a lot of those teams are more built.
I'm going to tell you something, too. I think Jared Goff is right there on the level of Kirk Cousins. I think he's right there. I know he gets scoffed at because he got ran out of LA, but he is doing great things. And I'll tell you something else. On any given Sunday, Geno Smith can be impressive. Now, the problem is the inconsistency of that offensive line. And I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they are swooning. They are crashing. We're not going to have to worry about the Seahawks. And their defense is so bad. They just put too much pressure on them, right? But Jared Goff, for my money, is right there. And look, Purdy has been very impressive. It's just a very small sample size.
No matter how it shakes.
Jalen Hurts. What if this injury is bad enough that either A, he can't come back, or B, it eventually leads to their demise? Either he can't play and that's why they get knocked out, or he tries to play through pain and he plays terribly, right? So then the NFC opens wide open. And that's a real concern, because Heineke is terrible. Brady, he's still playing pretty good football, but he doesn't have time. He used to have time when he played in New England, sit back there and eat a sandwich. Now, he doesn't even have time to look for the bread, right? It's out the door, which is why I think he's leaving Tampa after this year. I don't think he's retiring. I do think he's leaving.
Maybe a little Vegas action.
Where he's going, but I don't think he's staying in Tampa. This has been a disaster all season long. And a 45-year-old greatest of all time is not sitting in for a rebuild, right?
No chance.
But is Gardner Minshew going to lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl a la... Oh, his name's escaping me now.
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, a la Nick Foles.
You never know.
I think it's a better chance that Brock Purdy leads the 49ers or Kirk Cousins' offense is just that good that they can. The problem with with Minnesota is they're eventually going to run into someone in the playoffs whose defense is going to slow their offense down enough to where, because their offense is a sieve. The problem with the Cowboys is their offense isn't good enough to put up enough points to keep up with the way the defense has been playing the last several weeks. Right now, if I'm handicapping it, I still think the Eagles are the favorite, but I personally am picking the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to argue that if you're not going with the Eagles, 49ers to me are easily the most built up roster.
If Detroit gets in there, they could be scary. They could be that team that plays someone, and that team's going to be one and done. Detroit could go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings in the first round.
Yep.
Detroit could go into San Francisco and get the doors blown off, but they could go into Tampa Bay and not just beat the Bucs, they could beat the Bucs by a touchdown or two. I don't think the Giants pose a threat. The only way the Giants pose a threat is if they play the Bucs, because that would just be an ugly, sloppy game. I still think Tom Brady finds a way to beat the Giants.
I was going to say Barkley would have to have one of those pretty epic games to probably do something.
I think the winner, it's like 12-10. It's gonna be just somewhere in that neighborhood. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more football and get into now. Let's flip the debate when we come back, Joey.
Okay.
Who's the quarterback in the AFC? That's because that conference is absolutely loaded. We'll be back in a flash.
I think you should retire.
Come on, Frank.
I'm sorry, but Maria's my wife. And if I can't support her in this, then she'll be like an ice pick in my ear until I die.
If you don't like your job, you don't strike. You just go in every day and do it really half-assed. That's the American way.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Change approved.
It's important to remember the value of taking time for ourselves to do the things that help us grow and explore, like learning something new. And now with the Great Courses Plus, it's never been easier to experience the joys of learning. The Great Courses Plus offers thousands of streaming videos that cover hundreds of fascinating topics, from World War II to choosing the perfect wine. You can even take a course on the U.S. government or dealing with stress and anxiety. And because the Great Courses Plus partners with world-class professors and experts, you're always receiving thoroughly vetted, high-quality content from every lecture. Plus, you can watch or listen anytime, anywhere with the Great Courses Plus app. So take a little time for you. Sign up for the Great Courses Plus today. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com to get started. That's thegreatcoursesplus.com.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE.
The wives are all disgusted, and they're meeting in the yard on their way to where the numbers off our credit cards. He's the armchair.
Welcome back.
He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The All-American.
Mac McGee and Joey Ariola, we're going, taking you all the way up to the 5 o'clock hour where Farrell Coast to Coast will take over in the Sports Map Radio. And then tomorrow morning, remember, start your morning off with Ryan on radio from 7 to 10. And then you've got Rod Peterson's show from noon to 2. The Sports Beat from 2 to 3 before we take back over from 3 to 5. Braves Country here, weekdays here on the Key and wherever you stream Braves Country HD. Okay, looking at the AFC, because we just went through the NFC, I think what we have essentially agreed upon is Jalen Hurts is by far the best quarterback in the NFC that's heading to the playoffs. And if he's injured, it's going to open everything up. But even if he's not injured, there's some interesting good overall teams. Dallas could do it. I just don't believe in them. I feel like McCarthy's going to do something goofy. I really feel like before it's all said and done, Dak Prescott's going to do something ridiculously backwards, like at the end of the game against the 49ers last year, one of the best playoff games I've seen in a long time. And he didn't understand play clock management, right?
Yep.
And I like Dak. It's just it always seems like it comes down to something like that. This past week, loses to the Jaguars. That pass wasn't really his fault. The ball did hit Noah Brown in the hands or in the arms. But that just seems like that's what always happens to Dak Prescott. Like it always happens. So maybe he learned that from Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. I don't know. But when you go over to the AFC, you've got a tier of tiers when it comes to quarterbacks over there. Whew. Buffalo and Josh Allen, Kansas City and Mahomes, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, who are playing lights out. If he's healthy, Lamar Jackson is as dangerous as anybody on the football field. And let's not forget about the year that Tua's had that has dispelled a lot of myths, even ones that I may have created, that basically says he could be a top-tier quarterback, especially if you get him the toys. And Justin Herbert has just snuck his way in to the 6th seed into the playoffs. When you look at that whole list of all those teams that I just told you, the one team that's sitting there reminds me of the old, it's not Sesame Street, was it Electric Company? One of these kids is doing his own thing. And then there's the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill, who are basically telling you, we don't like the forward pass. We ain't ever going to throw the forward pass, and our fans are going to like it. So you have 6 really good quarterbacks that could be headed towards the playoffs, and also Ryan Tannehill. There is no answer on the bench. If you think Malik Willis is some kind of option, y'all, he's been in, and he is just essentially, at this point in his career, an extra running back. But there's parts of me that think that they have a better chance of winning if they would at least sprinkle him in. Not saying start him, but put packages in where you're like, oh my word, I have to pay attention to Derrick Henry or a possible bootleg RPO. He's going to draw so much attention. The safety's pulling down. You bring him in for a flea flicker. Nobody's that bad of a quarterback that they can't hit a wide open guy. But we'll leave the Titans out of this because they might choke the division away yet. If Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars get in there, if Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars get into the playoffs, and the other 6 teams I just mentioned get into the playoffs, and Jalen Hurts is too hurt to play in the NFC, the AFC you could argue have 7 quarterbacks that would start over anybody in the NFC in the playoffs. And that's wild. Who do you have the most confidence in? Of all the guys that I just named, what's your one ride or die at this point?
Yeah, and wow, after you made a lot of great arguments for many choices there. To me, when I narrowed down this list, it came down to Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. And I have to go with Mahomes, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's done it before. He actually was able to eclipse San Fran a couple years back and win the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is on the verge of doing it, and I love what Cincinnati has been doing. But Patrick Mahomes, he can just do it from every and any angle, and at the same time, he still doesn't turn the ball over a ton. He only has 11 interceptions. That's right with Burrow and Allen. Burrow has 10, Allen has 11. But he has 4 more touchdowns than Burrow, 5 more than Allen. I know they're based more on the pass game, Kansas City, that is. Burrow, at least has Joe Mixon. But when it comes down to one game and I need clutch throw after clutch throw when it matters most, I am going with Patrick Mahomes as my number one, slightly edging out Joe Burrow and Josh Allen.
I am going with Joe Cool. I think Joe Burrow has ascended to the top of the quarterback ranks, especially in winning ball games. Maybe he may never be the guy that's going to impress when it comes to the overall stats at the end of the year. But what the Bengals have been doing, and I don't know if it was a Super Bowl hangover, I don't know what the deal was. They were not playing very good football at the beginning of the year, right?
Nope.
But I do believe that right now, if the tournament started right now, the Bengals are the best team in the AFC for a couple of reasons. A, they've got the Chiefs number, and I do not believe in the Chiefs beating them. The only chance that I give them is if that game somehow ends up in Kansas City, which still remains to be seen. You look at the rest of the Bengals schedule, and by the way, they have won 6 in a row. And along that path, they have beaten the Chiefs. They have gone to Tampa Bay and throttled the Buccaneers after being down 17-0, outscoring them 34-6 down the stretch.
And to more of your point on Joe Burrow real quick, alluding to why they struggled early, he missed a lot of the preseason with an injury and surgery he had in the offseason. So it maybe took him a few weeks to get on track. But when it matters most, as you mentioned, these last 6 games, big wins in there, Joe Cool is just getting the job done as a big boy leader in this league.
Now, he's got a tough game this week because of the defense, but I think they'll score enough points to beat the Patriots. I'm really not worried about it. They're going to beat the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
If the Patriots pull off that W, that is like Mac Jones being knighted, right?
Baptized.
Literally after that loss, I was waiting for the clip, and I never saw it, but literally after that loss that the Patriots had with the
Raiders,
right? And that ridiculous back pass that was snagged by the defensive lineman. He smashed Jones into the turf and ran into the end zone. I'm sure Jones was like, "What are you doing? I don't want any part of this." I was waiting for someone to pull that old clip of Belichick just basically saying, "We're going to throw this away, on to Cincinnati." That's what they got this week, is on to Cincinnati. But I know it's in New England, and the only thing that might save them is terrible weather, which is heading that way. So that could be. But let's just assume they're going to find 11 points, maybe 12 to beat the Patriots, right? That's all they really need. That Monday night game in Buffalo is huge.
Oh.
And then they finish off against the Ravens. And if they're still playing for something, which they may be, because if the Ravens stay a game behind them, the Ravens, what I'm looking at long-term big picture is the Bengals have 4 losses. Buffalo and Kansas City have 3. They can beat Buffalo. They will have beaten both Buffalo and Kansas City this year. And Kansas City, the kicker is you got to find a loss in there for Kansas City. And they've got kind of an easier stretch. They're playing Seattle, they're playing the Broncos, and they're playing the Raiders.
Yeah, and to me, if Cincinnati, because they got to outdo them by one game to get really back in there, it's going to be tough because Kansas City usually take care of the teams they should be. But then again, this year has been crazier than any other. Anything's possible.
The one thing that remains to be seen how it all shakes out. If it ends up in a 3-way tie, they don't go head-to-head, which I think is ridiculous. Like, if Cincinnati beating the other two should put them as the 1 seed.
I'm with you.
But that's not how they go with the NFL. It'll go down to conference record, which at that point they'd all have the same conference record. They'd all have 3 losses. And then it goes like strength of schedule and all that stuff again. We're too far.
It's like give it to Cincy at that point. I know that.
I feel, but I remember a few times teams getting screwed because it would come down to who got the final wild card, right? You're like, they beat those 2 teams. But strength of schedule percentage, and you're like, what? That makes no sense. I mean, if you have the ability to look at head to head to eliminate the other team, that should always be the first thing that they should look at. But they don't. If there's a 3-way tie, head to head goes out the window and away we go. But if Cincinnati can win out and they can get one head to head tiebreaker with the other, they're going to get the nod.
It's going to be a real treat in the AFC playoff with all this quarterback play. There's going to be a lot of bad weather and a lot of, great quarterbacks. I can't wait to see which one lasts the longest.
I still question whether or not Miami is going to stumble their way in there or not. Along with the Chargers, both of them have holes that you can point at. Miami's lost 3 in a row. They do get a chance to get healthy this week by coming home on a full week, playing Packers. But if Miami doesn't get in there, because after that they got to go to the Patriots, there'll probably be bad weather up there. I know they played well against Buffalo, but it doesn't mean anything because they didn't win, right? And then they're at home against the Jets. That Jets game could be for the final wild card spot.
Yeah, I could see them losing 2 out of 3, and with the 1 game up only on the others, watch out.
I just feel like New England's going to get eliminated somehow because over the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks, if you look at this now, the question is, does Buffalo have anything to play for? But they're playing the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills. That's at Buffalo, that final game. So in my head, I'm already taking the Patriots out because I don't think they're going to win enough games. I think the Jets have a puncher's chance to be in it. And I really do believe that Miami and the Chargers are good enough, but Miami's got a tougher road. Chargers, you got to like where you're at. You're going to play the Colts, you're going to play the Rams, and you're going to play the Broncos.
I would almost argue this game that you guys are bringing, you and Tones, this Thursday, might be a must-win because, Jacksonville, they're a little bit behind Tennessee. I know they have that tiebreaker where they can play Tennessee at the end, but you don't want to fall to 6-9. And the Jets right now, they've lost a couple of games here lately. They need to pick up a win. That's a huge game on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's for both sides. It's not just Jets. It's
both of them.
Yeah, because I think if the Jaguars lose, it's not over per se, but you don't like your chances.
Correct.
Now, the one thing you do know for Jacksonville, if you can get within a game of Tennessee for the final week of the season, then you control your destiny.
You got a shot, yeah.
Because they already beat Tennessee once. And that final game's in Jacksonville, so they've got a very good chance of winning that game. And they play the Texans next week. But they're on the road at the Jets. They're on the road at the Texans. The Texans are playing a little better football. The Texans could be the key to who wins the AFC South because the Texans are in Nashville this week. And Tennessee typically dominated them. Derrick Henry, I was talking about earlier today, I think 200, it was just something like 212 yards, a couple of touchdowns. He could have had more. He could have named his yardage that week.
Whenever the Titans play the Texans, I feel like Derrick Henry is just a beast.
Yeah, he has the last 4 or 5 starts.
Sounds right.
He has gone over 200 yards. That's unreal.
Holy cow.
200 yards in the National Football League. It's unreal. But, yeah, Thursday's game is enormous.
Massive.
Because if the Jets lose, I don't see how they find a way back into the playoffs. If you lose that game, the following week you're going out to Seattle. If you can't beat the Jaguars at home, are you going to win in Seattle? Especially if Seattle has something to play for and they still have fight in them. And then conversely with the Jaguars, if the Jaguars lose that game, let's say Jaguars lose, Tennessee wins. They've got a 2-game lead with 2 to play. Tennessee has to play Dallas on Thursday night. But if Dallas loses, they've got nothing to play for next Thursday. It is a must win for
it's crunch time.
Yeah, it's must win for the Jaguars and it's must win for the Jets. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap this hour up. And we're going to talk frauds in the NFL, NFC, and AFC. Frauds. Are they frauds or are they contenders to win it all? We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and wherever you stream Braves Country HD and on WQEE 99.1 FM.
I'm just there till my divorce is final.
Now, who is coconuts enough to divorce you?
Oh, we gotta go. But we'll see you around.
Well, we'll have to have you over sometime.
I'd love it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. She's awesome.
No, we are never having her over. Heard she already slept with 2 dads from the school.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins.
Little Bites?
That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites.
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites.
Here you go.
Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Do you want to lose 18 pounds fast and improve your health? Now you can lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months with Nutrisystem. Get delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners, even snacks and shakes delivered safely to your door. All delivered for free. It's easy to follow, and you'll see results in your first week. You'll get your favorite foods made healthier and perfectly balanced to put your body in fat-burning mode. Millions of people have lost weight with Nutrisystem, and you can too. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Or you think you're tough picking on an old man? Maybe you'd like to try taking on somebody your own age.
You got any kids?
All right. Taking you all the way to the 5 o'clock hour here on The Key, 99.1 FM. Farrell Coast to Coast is next. Quick update, Eastern Michigan, 16-13 over San Jose State. About 6 minutes left in the second. So my under prediction is not looking great, but you're telling me there's a chance. We're up in Idaho, man. Where's all the wind and snow? For the famous there was just an interception there by Eastern Michigan. Now it's really not looking good.
Oh.
Whoa!
Why'd I see that?
Lord have mercy. Anyways, first of a doubleheader. There's another college bowl game tonight. Liberty is taking on I just had it in front of me. Who's it? Liberty and Toledo tonight, 7:30 in the Boca Raton Bowl. Strangely enough, that might be the one that has the worst weather because that game is supposed to be a driving rainstorm. It's like 70-80% chance of rain at kickoff and 20-mile-an-hour winds. Thought hurricane season was over. So now we go into looking at the NFL, looking at the teams that are heading to the playoffs. We're heading to week 16. So we're 14 games in for everybody. And the most exciting time of the year for football fans, also the most depressing time of the year.
I would know
that this is all coming to an end in a very short period of time. And then you'll have to decide, are you going to be XFL or USFL? I haven't seen all the cities that are going to have a team, but I haven't seen anything that's really drawn me to one or the other yet. I did see that Orlando had a couple of players. I think that's USFL. I don't know. I'm going to have to get that straightened out in my head. But I'm not watching another season of the USFL where there's no fans in the stands, so they better get that straightened out.
I hope the Roughnecks, the Houston Roughnecks, are still in there because I got my coffee mug here if you're on YouTube. So hopefully they're still around, the Houston Roughnecks.
Fair enough. But the NFL, I'm just gonna give you a few teams. You tell me if they're frauds or they're legitimate title contenders in the AFC and NFC.
Let's do it.
We're not giving you every team because we know the Titans aren't going. If anything, they might get past the first round, but that's about it. I think we'll wait on the AFC and go to the NFC first. How about that?
Works.
He's got the most rings of anybody ever. Those 6 of them were in New England. Are the Bucs frauds or are they legitimate title contenders?
You know,
hopefully your brother standing close by to you with the sharp object.
He's probably within 100 yards, so I should keep my commentary low as we work at the same place. But no, I'm going to have to call them frauds for now, unfortunately. And
There's
will I be
no way that you can look at what they did last Sunday and call them anything but frauds. They had a 17-0 lead going into the half, gave up a field goal, and they got their doors blown off.
Yeah, and you know the only team to let up another big lead like that was the Colts over the weekend. So if you're in the same category as them for a week, it's not looking too good. I have to call them frauds, unfortunately. When I've been to a couple of games, been to a couple of games this year where things just are not clicking for this team. I don't know what's all going on behind the scenes. Being pretty close to the situation with Tones, it seems like things might be a little bit edgy. They don't know how much Tom Brady's going to have left in the tank in Tampa Bay anyway. So I just think they're going to be overall out on this season. They don't put up enough points. When you got to go in
all year, they're at best one and done in the NFL playoffs.
They could win one home playoff game, and that would be about it.
They're going to beat the Cowboys? I don't see
I don't think so. But to me, the only chance they would have is that home playoff game.
They have to hope the Cowboys implode and they get to play like the Giants. That's the
Giants,
way, because they're not beating the Cowboys. Now, to that point, the one wild card team I'll throw at you here in the NFC, Cowboys. Are they frauds or are they legitimate title contenders? They're 10-4. If they win out and Philly loses out, obviously they win the division, but that's probably not happening. They're probably going in as the 5 seed of the wild card.
I'm going to call them legitimate contenders, and here's why. I think at the most important positions on defense, one being pass rush, you have your guy in Parsons who can control the field and the line of scrimmage. On offense, you have 2 running backs that can be dynamic in different ways and make things happen. And as long as Dak Prescott is healthy, when he has played this year, for the most part, besides the second half of last week in overtime, things have looked pretty good for him. So I think the Cowboys can go on the road and win football games. With that running attack, they could also play good defense. I'm going to call them contenders.
We got a new puppy, and and I'm playing dangerous games here. I've got her and the other dog, our 1-year-old, out and about in the living room.
Uh-oh.
And I said, I'm going to try it today. I'm going to see. And it's been really good until about 2 minutes ago, and I can hear, rah, 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 rah. If I could get up and not disrupt the show and look at it, all I get, especially the older one, all I got to do is give them the stare, point at her, she just chills out. But they're living dangerously. Right now, they're like, man, I know what time it is. Dad still got 10 minutes while we're on the air. Let's party. I'm going to call the Cowboys a fraud because I can't say what I just said a second ago and that not be how I believe, which something's going to go wrong with the Cowboys. It always does. San Francisco 49ers, legit or frauds?
I think they're legit because I think they have the most loaded roster outside of the quarterback position, and that can help carry that position in meaningful games. We've seen it with Jimmy G.
He played well.
He has. I mean, now don't you think at some point somebody's going to eventually maybe flip that script? I mean, it's going to take some time. He only has a couple games under his belt, but that defense is loaded. Even without Deebo Samuel, you still have at key positions George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. That team is just too loaded to not say contender in my eyes.
Yeah, I've got the 49ers. I've told everyone for weeks that they're my favorite. Even with Jimmy G going down, I still think that they are, in my eyes, the best team in the National Football League and definitely in the NFC. Minnesota, frauds or legit? I think they're frauds. I don't think their offense can score enough points for what their defense is going to allow.
I'm going to agree with you and call them frauds as well. I just think in big games, their defense isn't talented enough. We've seen many of times bad offenses get behind them. And then at quarterback position, as much as I like Kirk Cousins' stats, I don't know how much I'm going to trust them always in big games either. So I'm going to call Minnesota Vikings frauds.
Eagles, we know with Hurts, we know they're legitimate contenders. I think that's a given. Eagles without Hurts, and they have to go the rest of the way with Minshew, frauds or contenders?
Contenders. I mean,
you think Gardner Minshew can get that team to the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. I do. Because they're gonna get a full week off. They're gonna get every game at home if they get that 1 seed. And I just think when you only have 2 games to win, you could even get lucky in 1 game and you find yourself in the Super Bowl after dogging 1 out. So I just think if they get the 1 seed, they're automatically gonna be in that spot as a contender.
They could get that 1 win because that 1 win could be against Tampa.
And then you're right there.
They're not going to get that 1 win if the Cowboys are the 5 seed, and the Cowboys will go in, they'll beat Tampa, and then they'll go in and they'll spank Gardner Minshew. But that's why they've got to play this whole Jalen Hurts thing right. I mean, they cannot mess around. All right, let's go to the AFC.
Let's do it.
Baltimore Ravens, frauds or contenders? I think they're massive frauds.
Lamar Jackson would have to be fully healthy, right, to have any
Even
chance.
when he's been healthy, because it's not like he hasn't played all year. He has played all year. Baltimore's offense the last several weeks has been non-existent. They scored 13 against the Panthers. They scored 10 against the Broncos. Last week without Lamar, they scored 3. They scored 16 against the Steelers.
I've watched their last couple of games, and it's been rough against Pittsburgh and Cleveland in terms of offense, so probably right.
And I don't think their defense is what you think of when you think of like a championship Baltimore defense. All right. What about I'm not going to do any of the other wild card teams. Baltimore's the only one with a legitimate argument at this point. Miami could sneak their way in there, but they've got to be more impressive down the stretch. Tennessee's a fraud. Let's go to, I think we both believe that the Bengals are legit, right?
Absolutely.
And they, in my eyes, are the favorite to get back there. I think we can finally get that rematch of 49ers Bengals, which is what I was wanting last year. And it didn't play out that way because the 49ers somehow lost to the Rams, even though they've dominated them over the years. They lose that one game to them. Chiefs, I mean, how are they not contenders, right?
How can you not be?
And Bills, fraud.
Oh, wow.
I think the Bills are frauds.
Okay.
They blew that lead in Kansas City last year. What was it, like 12 seconds left? What was that? And they haven't looked that great. I know they've got a good record, but they have not looked impressive, and they're not rolling teams up like you expect them to do heading towards the playoffs. They barely beat the Dolphins at home, and the Dolphins infamously cannot play in the cold. They muddled around and beat the Jets. Same thing with the Patriots was a little more convincing. They should have lost that game on the road against the Lions. They choked against the Vikings. Zach Wilson and the Jets beat them in New York. Buffalo better get home field advantage throughout the playoffs because they will not win on the road. They won't go into Kansas City and they won't go into Cincinnati in January and win. That's why I'm calling them frauds. If they can get home field and win and be in Buffalo the rest of the way, I've got to give them a fair shot. But I don't think they will. What say you?
Now, to your point, the running situation will also make it difficult because they're never able to get it fully off the ground with Singletary and Cook. I am going to put him in a contender, though, because when you have Josh Allen, I think you always have a chance to win a ball game. They put up a lot of points at the end of the day. So, to me, they always have a chance as a contender. But that Von Miller injury is a big factor, too, because you can't have your best pass rusher sidelined when you need him most.
All right, give me about 15 seconds. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Yeah, my walk-off for the day is, we're getting close to the holiday. I'm going to enjoy these bowl games that keep starting up. I'm 6-4 in that bowl pool you started, so I'm probably not doing too good there, but I've been keeping my eye on that, and I'm going to enjoy the Liberty-Toledo game tonight, sit back and relax, and get ready for the week of football.
My walk-off is we'll be back tomorrow 3 to 5. And we're going to start our Christmas wish list and all that stuff as we head towards the end of the week. Joey will participate on that come Thursday. But, as we get closer to Christmas, we will always do a lot of fun things, a lot of lighthearted things. But we'll still talk sports, NFL, anything breaks in MLB. This is usually the slow time in the MLB free agency as people head towards Christmas. For all the guys and gals behind our Armchair Quarterback Radio, I'm Mac McGee for Braves Country and Joey Ariola. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 5 here on The Key and wherever you stream Braves Country HD.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Newnan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395, or go online to dixiehandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to craftsmanship.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines 2 of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infidium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold? Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, The Key has a brand new show,